they are never out.
Well, I think what John has done speaks for itself. His ability to come back and make plays, and such a competitor in the game's on the line, he's going to find a way to get it done.
People are definitely aware of the fact that the Denver Broncos have come back several times and that the game's not over till it's over, so they better keep it strapped on for 60 minutes.
I'm Mike Patrick along with Joe Theismann and Mark Malone, and welcome to the NFL on ESPN. The Denver Broncos found a gem in the 6th round of this year's draft. Running back Terrell Davis came into today as the AFC leader in total yards. And now with John Elway really beginning to heat things up, Denver is primed for a playoff run, Joe.
You know, Michael, the Eagles don't enjoy a balanced attack like the Broncos do. In fact, their pass offense is among the worst in the NFL. But what they do excel at is running the football. And Ricky Waters leads the league's second-ranked rushing offense, and its effectiveness is the key for Philadelphia tonight, Mark.
Joe, and our Sunday night spotlight starts with a key figure in stopping that running attack, Denver Pro Bowl defensive tackle Michael Dean Perry. I'll be back with video reports throughout the night to chart his impact. Mike?
Thank you, Mark. A year ago, Mike Shanahan and Ray Rhodes were the offensive and defensive coordinators with the Super Bowl champion 49ers. Tonight, they face each other as head coaches, each 5-4, and each very much in the playoff picture. The weather conditions very cold here in Philadelphia. The temperature 35, the wind chill 20. The wind, which could be a factor in the kicking game, is at 15 miles an hour, expected to diminish as the night goes along. Jason Elam will kick off for the Denver Broncos. Charlie Garner and Derek Witherspoon are deep. Kelvin Martin out tonight with a foot injury. Charlie Garner just inside the 20 and crosses to about the 23-yard line. Since taking over as the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, Rodney Peete is 4-1. He's been a very vocal leader. Fred Barnett thought he might get 100 catches in this offense, but he has only 26 as they have emphasized the run. The offensive line improved dramatically with the addition of Guy McIntyre, a 5-time Pro Bowler with San Francisco. Fred Barnett is the setback, and now they shift. Saxon and Waters the split backs. And Peete to throw on first down, and he's got it out to the 30-yard line, complete to Calvin Williams. Steve Atwater made the tackle. On Denver's defensive line, Michael Dean Perry has done everything, stopping the run and leading the team in sacks. David Wyman is a terrific linebacker in between surgeries. He's only been able to play 8 games in 2 years. And Steve Atwater still provides the bone-jarring hits out of the secondary. The 5-time Pro Bowler leads the team in tackles. Wyman, number 92. He's been very effective when he stayed healthy. Play action by Peete. Screen. And a first down as they get the ball to Charlie Garner, and that's something Ray Rhodes emphasized. They have to get the ball to Charlie Garner more. Harry Boatswain, the starting right guard tonight. Joe Panos out for the year with a shoulder injury. They put him on injured reserve earlier in the week. And the Eagles have seen 3 offensive linemen go down this season. They have a rookie, Barrett Brooks, starting at left tackle. Third pass in a row. Here comes the blitz. Peete unloads, and it's incomplete. Intended for Barnett down at the 45, but he was under heavy pressure.
Well, you know, Michael, that's what you're going to see Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, do. He's going to let you run some things, get a feeling for what he sees, and then he's going to try and fill the gaps with secondary people. Watch the left part of your screen. You'll see Steve Atwater coming to flash right inside of Simon Fletcher, untouched, forces Pete to get rid of the football early.
So the Eagles have it 2nd and 10 from their own 36. And Waters gets his first carry. Drags the pile with him out to the 39-yard line. Michael Dean Perry, the first man in on the tackle. When Perry has been in there, they have done very well defensively. When he has not been in there, people have been able to run on Denver almost at will.
You know, they're very distinguished roles on this defense for Denver. James Jones, who came over from Cleveland, is the policeman. Michael Dean Perry's job is to go in and wreak havoc in the secondary, get penetration. Excuse me, in the backfield.
3rd and 7 for the Eagles. Another blitz off the corner. Pete unloads underneath. Charlie Garner. He has the first down out to the 48-yard line. So early, Denver throwing everything at Rodney Peete.
This is what happens when you bring corners, though, Mike, is they can come free, and you still have time to watch the left part of your screen. You're going to see the corner come scot-free, but he comes from so far away, Rodney has a chance to go underneath and let Charlie Garner pick up the rest of the yards. That's a well-conceived play by John Gruden, the offensive coordinator.
2 tight ends, 2 wideouts, and the single setback is Waters. Pete again. Barnett. Fred Barnett inside the 30 down near the 25-yard line. The saving tackle made by Tyrone Braxton, but it's a gain of 27.
Michael Dean Perry trying to get penetrations up against Harry Boatswain. Does the swim over, comes hard inside, gets help though. Raleigh McKenzie, the center, comes out. Barnett just makes the big plant. Big cushion given him. Now, if you're going to give that big a cushion, Ray Crockett's got to make the play.
Keep in mind the Eagles are next to last in the NFL in passing offense. They are 2nd in the NFL in running offense, and they have come out throwing. Charlie Garner tried to cut it outside. Not much room there as Atwater up in a hurry for run support.
You know, talking to Ray Rhodes, Mike, he basically said, hey, look, if we're going to contend for anything, we have to be better in the pass attack. We've established a run. We know we can run the football with Waters and Garner. Now we've got to throw the ball downfield. I like the fact that they've come out throwing, because you got to figure Denver expected them to come out running, so they're doing just the opposite of what you'd expect.
2nd and 9. Carpenter checks in as an additional wide receiver. And they look for Carpenter, and over his head, Wyman on the coverage. Carpenter looks around at Pete like, was that for me or somebody behind me?
I think the one thing that Rodney Peete is doing in this offense is he's rushing the ball just a little bit. He knows the receivers are running 4- and 5-yard routes, and as soon as he plants, he fires. He doesn't really give them a chance to get set. I think Rodney is still learning this offense. Don't forget, very little work in training camp, very little work the first part of this season.
This is the other area where the Eagles will miss the services of Kelvin Martin tonight as a 3rd wide receiver. It's 3rd and 9. 4-man rush. Pete has time this time, and Barnett makes the catch. Fred Barnett inside the 5. Atwater with another tackle. A gain of 23.
Michael, give credit to the guys up front. This offense is not necessarily built on giving him deep drops, but Barrett Brooks, number 76, the left defensive tackle or offensive tackle on Michael Dean Perry, just really stonewalls them. Rodney puts the ball up high, and Freddie makes a nice catch on a high thrown ball.
Fred Barnett was so excited about this offense, he thought he would have Pro Bowl numbers. It hasn't turned out that way. 1st and goal. Waters. Absolutely nowhere to go. Michael Dean Perry came in and blew up the play before it started.
This is where the Eagles missed the big fullback. This is where Kevin Turner is missed for the Eagles. You get down around the goal line, you've got Ricky Waters and Charlie Garner, 2 halfbacks. Who's going to block for who? So what I think John Gruden's got to do is he's got to move Rodney out of there a little bit and try and let them go into the end zone, throwing the football. I don't think you're going to be able to pound it down here.
Eagles have done a good job in their goal-to-go offense. Pete with play action. Throws, touchdown. His tight end, Reggie Johnson. His first catch of the year.
But it's well conceived. I mean, instead of just banging your head against the wall and say, we're going to pound it in, we're going to pound it in, run the play action. Let them think that Ricky Waters is going to be there. You'll see Reggie Johnson right on the end, right over here. He's going to go down and work into this void. It's play action with Rodney moving, and you'll see the line. Now, all he has to do is find a void. Good play action to Ricky. You hold the linebacker. Let him just slide on out. There it is.
Gary Anderson, the longtime Steeler, for the point after. And Philadelphia making a statement on its opening drive. Rodney Peete finishes off the impressive drive, throwing the touchdown pass to Reggie Johnson out of Florida State. Peete with his 4th touchdown catch.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Honda, who offers an impressive family of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans. By McDonald's, have you had your break today? And by Fila, change the game.
7-0 Eagles, early first quarter. Gary Anderson to kick. Glenn Milburn, one of the best in the NFL, waits at the 7, and the Eagles coverage teams haven't scared anybody. Milburn still on his feet out near the 35-yard line. We've got a timeout. 7-0 Eagles. Back after this. When Mike Shanahan took over at Denver, he installed the West Coast offense that he brought with him from San Francisco, but he has adapted it to suit his people.
Well, he really has. He ran it the first 6 weeks of the season, and John Elway just didn't feel comfortable. So he went to him and he said, look, let's try something different. They ran the no huddle against New England. Against the Oakland Raiders, they come out in the shotgun almost exclusively, and then they wind up going 2 tight ends against Arizona last week. So Shanahan is doing what his players do well, not just trying to bang his head against the wall with a system.
And to me, that's the essence of coaching. That's Gary Kubiak, the quarterback coach. Terrell Davis. Great opening burst, and he has the first down out at the 45. Take a look at the Denver offense. Last week, John Elway became only the 7th quarterback ever to pass the 40,000-yard mark. He's back in his comfort zone in the shotgun. Anthony Miller has provided the big plays, over 18 yards a catch, 8th in the conference in yards receiving. And up front, Mark Schlereth added toughness to the offensive line. He was a free agent signed from the Redskins. Elway changing the play at the line. Shannon Sharp with his first catch into Eagle territory. For Philadelphia's defense, Andy Harmon playing like an all-pro. 8.5 sacks, number 2 in the league for defensive tackles. William Thomas is having a big play season. He's number 1 on the team with 4 interceptions. That ties for 4th best in the NFL. And rookie Bobby Taylor has won the job at right corner. He's shown some good cover skills and has a bright future. 2nd and 2 after the pass to Sharp. Elway with play action. All day. Throws deep. Miller, touchdown. What an answer for the Denver Broncos. 3 plays, bang.
And Ray Rhodes told us yesterday, Mike, the one thing that he fears more than anything is when John Elway gets to the edge of the formation. He's on the edge with the play action, and Miller just runs all the way across the field. Bobby Taylor here in a foot race. I mean, that's all it is. This is a perfectly thrown ball. Bobby Taylor running stride for stride, cannot keep up with Anthony Miller. Look at the time John has. He's just standing still behind the goalpost there. I mean, it's unbelievable.
If John Elway has 8 seconds to throw every pass, he'll throw 20 touchdown passes in this game.
Exactly.
Jason Elam with the point after. And both teams have scored on their opening possession. Bobby Taylor was the cover guy on the last touchdown play, but you can't blame a defensive back. He can't stay with a receiver like Anthony Miller for that long. So Denver kicking off for the second time in the first half, and Charlie Garner at the 9. Broke a tackle, took it out to the 26-yard line.
You know, Mike, the one thing that you can't give any quarterback is an opportunity to survey your field, nor would you expect a defensive back to stay with someone. I'll count for you. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000. I use that just to make it easy for myself, because that's about a second. But you're expecting a defensive back to run step for step with somebody for 6 seconds. You just can't ask Bobby Taylor or anybody to do it.
How many times has Elway run out of the pocket and thrown touchdown passes? From the 26. Rodney Peete goes underneath the Barnett. Takes a wicked shot and gets it up to the 34.
I find this very interesting. John Gruden opened the game with that same exact pass. Now, coaches aren't stupid. You know, sometimes coaches say, oh, well, we can't repeat that. Gruden comes right back with it and says, hey, look, they didn't stop it the first time. I want to see if they can stop it again. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it more and more tonight. Go with it.
I remember you telling me a long time ago about hitches. If they don't cover the first one, I'm going to throw it till they cover it.
Exactly. Make them defend you.
Play action by Peete. Williams, what a catch! There is a marker down. Lionel Washington on the coverage. Another great throw by Peete and a gain of 34.
It's going to be an illegal formation, and you know what's interesting? The inside receiver told the outside receiver to move up, and he never did. It's going to be an illegal formation for the Eagles.
Illegal formation on the offensive team. Number 86 of the offensive team was covered up by the wide receiver. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
And that made him an ineligible receiver.
Calvin Williams, when Freddie Barnett shifted, Calvin Williams did not. He stayed there on the line, and Freddie said back up, and he just didn't move. And that, you had 2 guys lined up, made him an ineligible receiver. Mental mistakes.
So it's 2nd and 8 for the Eagles. Back inside their 30. Peete sets to throw again, that time behind Williams. And tipped up in the air, very dangerous throw.
That's a throw that Rodney Peete has got to make. He has a tendency when he throws to the left to throw his left foot so far to the left, it throws him off bounds. Watch his left foot when he swings it. See how far left it is? Instead of stepping at the target, it is, watch it. See, it goes to the left. It should be stepping more towards the target. That way he'd be able to get his shoulders more square and make a more accurate throw.
The rookie from Miami, Chris T. Jones, number 82, is in on 3rd and 8 as an additional wide receiver. 4-man rush. Peete with time. Throws. Complete. Williams makes the catch and has a first down out at the 38.
Unbelievable concentration by Calvin Williams, because that ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage. That's just a great bit of concentration by a wide receiver.
Last year, he had a career high 813 yards received.
Rodney Setz does a nice job of stepping here. Looked like it was tipped. It just came out a little wobbly out of Rodney's hand.
First down Eagles. We've had a lot of action here in the first quarter. 6.5 minutes left. 7-7. Waters. This is what the Eagles have done best all year long, and Waters gets about 5. Ray Crockett up from the corner to make the stop. You will hear cheers, and if anything goes wrong, you will hear boos for Ricky Waters. He did not exactly endear himself to the Philadelphia faithful the first week he was here. Peete on 2nd and 4, and that one was behind Williams. Nearly intercepted by Crockett.
You know, it's interesting, Mike, for a team that is the second leading rushing team in the league, they opened this game in 16 plays. They've thrown 12 passes. And the last couple that Rodney has thrown, 2 of the last 3 have not been real accurate.
The last 2 games have not been very good for Rodney Peete. He has thrown for a total of 299 yards. But when your completion percentage is down at 43, you're really struggling.
And one of those games was against the Cowboys. It's a darn good football defense.
Peete with a short set, out in the flat, complete pass. That'll be another first down. Rob Carpenter with his first catch. Randy Hilliard ran him out of bounds. Carpenter, who had some decent years with the Jets, has some quickness.
You know what happens when you take short sets, Mike? The defense just can't get there. Simon Fletcher comes in on Antone Davis. Antone just builds a wall, and Simon can't even jump to knock the ball down. They fire out. They double team the nearest guards and throw 5-yard passes.
Peete to throw on first down again. Intended for Williams, but blanket coverage by Lionel Washington.
I don't care. I think that's terrific. I think that you have got to send Calvin Williams and Freddie Barnett down the field at least 4 or 5 times. I like that call. 1st and 10 at midfield. Excellent call by Ray Rhodes and John Gruden.
Well, Ray Rhodes is doing the same exact thing in Philadelphia as Mike Shanahan is doing in Denver. He loves the system, but he is adapting it to fit his people. And they have not gotten the ball downfield in the past to their receivers. Tonight, they have gone down twice. Trying to take advantage of their personnel. Waters on the delay. Not much. He does cross into Denver territory down near the 47-yard line. Alan Aldridge makes the tackle.
That's been the area. The linebackers for the Denver Broncos has been an area where they really haven't gotten a lot of production. A lot through injury. Simon Fletcher basically plays down. Dave Wyman's been out. Alan Aldridge. They've had a lot of different people play for them at the linebacker position.
Haven't gotten much out of Dante Jones, and Ken Brown, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, hasn't produced much for them. In fact, he's inactive tonight, as is Dante Jones. Pressure on Peete. Floats it down the middle. Carpenter. If he didn't have to dive, it's a touchdown. Steve Atwater finally caught up with him.
Yeah, but Rodney really athletically gets the ball down the field. I mean, this is not pretty. He doesn't have a lot of room to step up, and he just gets it off. Greg Robinson, defensive coordinator. Here comes Steve Atwater off the corner. Scott clear. Rodney slips a little, and he doesn't have any place to step up. But he just gets the ball down the field. Carpenter makes the play.
Brilliant catch. Another Eagle first down. Waters, stutter step, finds the hole inside the 10.
I always believe that Ricky Waters, if he's a little patient, can really explode and project. Look at here. Takes his time a little bit, sets the blocking up, finds well, and then moves well through traffic. Makes Atwater make the play, who is their strong and free safety. Plays both positions.
A young man who has always wanted the spotlight, was delighted with the deal that got him here from San Francisco. So he would be the man. And he has been coming into this game. 740 yards rushing. Could be the first Eagle back to rush for 1,000 since Herschel Walker. Second and less than a yard. Ray Rhodes has done exactly what he wanted here in the opening quarter. He's controlled the clock, has one touchdown, and is driving for another. What's surprising is he's done it with the passing game for the most part.
They've made some excellent catches for Rodney, and Rodney has been real smart with the football.
And it's been a well-called game for the Eagles. So I have Waters try to get the first down, and he does near the 5-yard line. Atwater again up from the safety spot.
You know what's interesting, Mike, and if you're just looking at this game and looking for the ball, you won't see it. But I'll tell you, they come out in 2 tight ends. When you've got Atwater and Braxton figuring out who wants to support, now you make both of them stay off the ball a little bit. Ricky has a chance to hit the perimeter and gain the first down and pick up 5 yards. That's a good formation for them down here.
First and goal from the 5. Saxon, number 22, comes in as a blocking back. And now Rodney Peete wants to go to the sideline and talk it over. Peete, 9 out of 14, 118 yards and a touchdown here in the first quarter. Tied at 7, first period. Joe, Philadelphia likes to script its opening set of plays. So far, it's an award-winning script.
And John Gruden, their offensive coordinator, basically decides he wants to go a certain way. He comes out with 7 rushes, 15 passes, and what he does is it's really first and second down. The third down, it's either going to be short or nickel situations, but that's where you find the scripting, is in what's called the regular downs, first and second. Gone exactly the way they want it so far tonight.
The script for Showgirls wasn't nearly this good. 2 tight end sets. Waters. Cuts it outside. Dives. Touchdown. That was a powerful run by Ricky Waters.
You're absolutely right, Mike. This is pure individual effort. Good job by the line, blocking at the point of attack and getting him into the secondary. He's going to be coming down to you. Does a nice job. There he is. Now he's on his own. Now it's all Ricky Waters. Crockett tries to hang on. Ricky just gets the ball across the line.
Gary Anderson for the point after. First quarter fireworks in Philadelphia. 14-7 Eagles.
This is a really nice job by blocking at the point of attack. McIntyre comes around to seal inside. Williams does a good job. And now look, at the 5-yard line, Crockett makes contact. Ricky is just not going to be denied. All he has to do is get that ball across.
Tremendous effort by Waters. And the Denver defense, which has been so good lately, held 4 teams to under 10 points, has already given up 14 here in the first 12.5 minutes of the game.
I think the Eagles have really crossed up Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, by coming out and throwing the football. I think he expected him to come out and run. I think his defense was set up that way. I don't think you'll see the Eagles be as successful so easily from now on. Now I think he's settled in and sees what's going on.
Really a superb job of play calling and crossing up that Denver defense early. Glenn Milburn waits near the 5-yard line. Milburn second in the AFC, 6th in the NFL. Been relegated to special teams for the most part because Davis's outstanding point. Taken by Craver, one of the up-backs. Ball comes loose. Was he down? Yes, he was. Prime Monday tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. Mike Tirico and company preview the battle between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll have all the latest news from around the league and go backstage with Browns linebacker Pepper Johnson. All that and much, much more tomorrow night on Prime Monday. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Mark Malone, our entire ESPN crew with you on a Sunday night from Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. And Ricky Waters celebrating early. End around. Anthony Miller didn't get a whole lot out of it.
Well, John Elway tried to throw a block on William Thomas, number 51, who is having really a Pro Bowl year. He has played so well with the Eagles, number 51. Done everything for him. Has 4 interceptions, runs the field well. Take advantage of the Eagles. They want to run and chase. Mamula comes after. Elway's out front. Big John's looking for somebody to block. It's William Thomas, but he can't take him off his feet.
Go with the delay to Terrell Davis, and he can't get past Mark Woodard. Spot the ball just outside the 35-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 3. John Elway says that young man is the best running back he has ever played with. What a compliment to a 6th-round draft choice rookie. And only Curtis Martin of New England has more rushing yards. Draw play. Davis shakes the tackle, shakes another one. Terrell Davis inside the 30. Greg Jackson had to make the tackle.
You know what sets this up? It's interesting. The formation. By going with 3 wide receivers and spreading the defense out, they really isolate people, and they make the linebackers make a one-on-one tackle. Zim here, Gary Zimmerman, number 65, he just takes Mamula outside. He just pushes him and throws him outside, and then he can lead him up the field. Look who's leading him. Number 65 is out front down the field.
Terrell Davis, 3 carries, 50 yards here in the opening quarter. He slips this time and still slithers forward for a couple before William Thomas covers it. But when you draft a guy in the 6th round, you're not expecting him to come in and start. They had Rod Bernstein. They had Glenn Milburn. They thought these were going to be the guys, and all at once they get into training camp, and Terrell Davis makes play after play. And what are you going to do? Put him in there.
They wound up with 2 guys, Terrell Davis and Aaron Craver, who they really didn't think would be where they are today.
That's the end of the first quarter from Philadelphia, where the Eagles are leading the Broncos 14-7. Thank you, Chris. And wasn't that a shocker in Dallas? 2nd and 9 for the Broncos. Elway with a short set under pressure and goes down. William Fuller crashed in from the left end. Guy who's missed 3.5 games because of an injury.
Yeah, and he goes up against Broderick Thompson, number 76, the ex-Eagle. Fuller just continues to drive and push back. But I'll tell you something. See, now to me, that's a sack that should be going to the quarterback, not Broderick Thompson. John pumps one way, he holds it, and then tries to load and come back the other way. Boy, you're asking the line to hold an awful long time.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Broderick Thompson knows, as John Elway is very shaky. We'll check on his condition when we come back.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by True Value. No matter what you need, help is just around the corner. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. And by Northwestern Mutual Life. There are a lot of good reasons for choosing the quiet company.
Denver trails by 7, but more importantly, their leader is on the bench, John Elway, who was very unsteady when he got up from that last collision, and he gives way to Hugh Millen, who comes on in a 3rd and 9 situation. Millen, the 10-year veteran out of the University of Washington, has thrown 11 passes this year and completed 6. The starter for New England in 91, seldom used since then. Under pressure, throws underneath an incomplete, intended for Anthony Miller. Tough situation to put him in.
It is, but also you got to give Emmett Thomas, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, credit. New quarterback, fresh coming in, it's 3rd and long, go after him. Make him get rid of the football, give him those happy feet right away.
So Jason Elam, who's hit 17 of 20 this year, will try a 45, 46-yard field goal.
Now, Mike, he is kicking into that 15-mile-an-hour wind here. Of course, he's got a terrific leg.
They'll spot it at the 35, so it will be a 45-yard attempt. Elam kicking into whatever wind there is. And had no problem with it whatsoever. Jason Elam makes it Philadelphia 14, Denver 10. This is the play that put John Elway, at least temporarily, out of this ball game. John Elway, the report on him, he was hit in the head. He's expected to return.
And boy, was he hit in the head. And you see him getting a little more air put in there. But watch this. William Ford comes in from the right. And then from the left side, he just takes a shot right in the head.
Garner from the 12. Crossed the 30-yard line, and a late hit. Players jawing at each other a little bit.
You know, it's amazing what an attitude can do for you. I think we saw it in the San Francisco-Dallas game. If you come in with an attitude, miracles can happen. I think the Eagles have come in tonight, I think an underdog in this game, playing with an attitude, and they're leading this ball game.
If you just joined us, neither team has been able to stop the other. We've had 3 touchdowns and a field goal in 4 possessions. Saxon and Waters are the backs. Pushes him out of bounds. Let's go to Mark Malone. Mark?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Perhaps maybe Philadelphia's game plan here to throw the football might have something to do with the defensive lineman Michael Dean Perry, who's great against the run. Take a look at this. Watch how he holds his ground against Boatswain and then rolls out and makes the tackle. And in the passing game, patented swim move, something he does real well. Beats Boatswain cold, but then the double team, the ball's away too quickly. And then when they try to run the stunts against the passing game, no success. Pete's getting rid of the football too quick. Mike, back to you.
All right, Mark, and he's such a great guy to be around. Always has a positive attitude. Slant pass, Barnett takes a couple of wicked shots. But he's into Denver territory at the 46-yard line, another gain of 18. Let's go back to Mark.
Yeah, Mike, here are the numbers so far on Michael Dean Perry. So far, he has been double-teamed 12 of 16 times in the passing game. He has no sacks, no pressures, no quarterback hits. It's a function of Rodney Peete and the Philadelphia Eagles throwing the ball quickly to avoid the pressure of the Denver Bronco defense. Mike?
And when he's being double-teamed, that leaves it up to the rest of his line mates to do something because of it. Charlie Garner, who just slashes into the line. Picks up almost 6 yards on the carry.
He is a wonderful change of pace for the Eagles as a running mate to Ricky Waters. Ricky is a little bit more patient. He'll pick and choose, chop his way a bit stronger. And all of a sudden, Charlie comes in, and you give him just a little hole, and wham, he's gone.
And what a great start he had to his rookie year last year. First 2 games, 100 yards each. Then he injured a knee, but back and apparently just as healthy as ever. 2nd and 4. Pete chased out of the pocket. Floats it to Garner. Great tackle by Crockett as Garner crossed the 40-yard line. He gets by Crockett. He's got people out there to help him.
And the other thing is he does a wonderful job of helping Rodney Peete out. He makes the block. He sees Rodney get in trouble. Now he slides out to a throwing lane and throws his hand in the air to say, listen, just dump it off. Get rid of it. I'll take care of you.
Brings up a 3rd and 3. Waters set 7 yards deep. And they will send Waters for the first down and more. Juking his way inside the 30-yard line. Atwater and Braxton, the safeties, combined on the tackle. It's a gain of 11.
That Eagle offensive line, McIntyre, McKenzie, Harry Boatswain are doing a terrific job of creating seams inside. Watch McIntyre. He's right here. He's going to come, kick out. Ricky's going to come and take it up inside. Guy comes around, does a nice job, kicks out on Wyman. Ricky's right into the secondary.
Ricky Waters, 8 carries, 41 yards here in the first half. Pete with time. Wyman can't get him. Crockett forced it out of bounds, but not until he reached the 10-yard line. A gain of 18, and Joe, he's a terrific receiver.
He really is. And coming into tonight, Mike, he had 34 receptions and a touchdown. Here he just leaks out of the backfield. They run everybody off, and he makes a move on a linebacker. He'll just cross up underneath. Rodney with nice touch. Drops the ball off, and Ricky's got a wide open field in front of him.
And Dave Wyman, as athletic as he is not going to chase down Ricky Waters. Garner checks back in on first down. And Charlie Garner will get the carry. Dragging tacklers with him to the 5. He had Harold Hasselback, all 280 pounds of him, on his back and gave him a free ride. And Raleigh McKenzie is the Eagle slow to get up. Another veteran former Redskin lineman. The Eagles have been hurt in the offensive line by injuries and a drug suspension. They can ill afford to lose anybody else.
He's number 63. Just gets rolled on, just manages to get his foot out. Just got it rolled up on a little bit.
Joe Panos, who was put on injured reserve earlier this week with a shoulder injury.
Of course, Lester Holmes was gone early. Bernard Williams has been gone.
Williams was the drug suspension twice.
From Wisconsin, a rookie now has to come in and play, but this is good. See, Rodney's telling him what to expect. Because right down here, down around the goal line, is the most important thing that this guy can do, is just get Rodney the football till they can get Rollo back in on the next play.
And Raleigh McKenzie, durability has been one of the strengths of his game, starting his 72nd straight game tonight. And he looks like he'll be all right.
Mike, you want to run the simplest play here. John Gruden, their coordinator, simple off-tackle play. Don't try and make the center do anything as far as reaching goes.
Rudolph, 6'1", 285 out of Wisconsin, a free agent rookie. Waters, shaking tacklers to the 3. Lionel Washington from the corner on the stop.
Joe Rudolph did exactly what he had to do. It's a nice call by Gruden. Little off-tackle play, let him fire straight out.
And Raleigh McKenzie comes back into the game. And Rudolph gets a nice hand at the sideline. The Eagles wanted to control the clock, and man, have they ever. Better than 3-1. Third now. Pete on that half roll again, has Waters, can't find him, runs for it, touchdown! Rodney Peete with his first rushing touchdown of the season.
Mike, this is a coming out party for the Philadelphia offense. They have really tried, Ray Rhodes, John Gruden have really tried to instill a West Coast offense. Tonight, they're going down the field a little bit. They're asking their quarterback to make plays, and everybody's responding.
Anderson, 3 for 3 on points after.
You're going to see him sprint to the right. They do a nice job of sealing where the 2 wide receivers are. Ricky Waters right out front. Good block by Saxton. Atwater turns up with Waters, and he just heads for the corner. Coming at you. This is pass first, really, but Rodney doesn't have it. Just tucks it away. Always been a good runner.
The advantage of having a mobile quarterback, and you saw Atwater with that man-to-man coverage. He didn't see him until it was too late. The best pregame show in the NFL begins every Sunday at 11:45 a.m. sharp with Chris Berman and the gang on NFL Game Day. Then at 7, it's all the highlights of all the games on prime time. And at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's Sunday Night NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs against the Houston Oilers. The Philadelphia Eagles with a 21-10 first half lead, and the Denver defense has to be in a state of shock. They have played so well lately, and tonight they're having their lunch in the bag it came in eaten. Milburn at the 1. Has the seam. Glenn Milburn all the way out to the 34-yard line before Bobby Taylor takes him out of bounds, and John Elway doesn't have the hat back on.
No, Mike, and you know, John's sitting on the bench, but I'm not 100% convinced he realizes, one, he's sitting there, and two, what city he's in. That was a heck of a shot he took.
And we had a picture of him earlier batting his eyes, and when you see a quarterback who's taking a hit to the head, batting his eyes, that's a pretty good sign.
Trust me, I know. I do it up here with you sometimes.
Yeah, that's a lot scarier. Millen turns and hands to Terrell Davis, and the Eagle defense really pumped now. Kurt Gouveia, the middle linebacker, with the tackle.
Mike, this is where Emmett Thomas, the coordinator of the Eagles, can change his game plan a little bit. We saw it last week when Natron Means went out for the Chargers. Tom Olivadotti of the Miami Dolphins changed. I think you'll see the Eagles be more aggressive and less concerned with Hugh Millen getting outside and making plays. They know he's not going to move around like Elway.
Millen with a short set and throws complete. He's got the first down. Nice throw to Mike Pritchard. And Pritchard with his 17th catch of the season. Last year, of course, was a total loss for Pritchard, who had a lacerated kidney, and he's really been distracted this year because he has been charged with impaired driving and vehicular assault. His car struck 2 people, and he's got a hearing in a couple of days. Pritchard with his hands up in the air. He still doesn't know what the play is. Shannon Sharp makes the catch, and he's buried immediately by Greg Jackson.
But let me say this. Shannon Sharp, after, what, a quarter and a half almost, has just touched the football. That is not good for the Broncos on offense. I think for the remainder of this game, he's going to have to touch the ball more than just twice as he has tonight. He's got to get more involved in this football game, especially with that man on the bench.
Well, John, I think you're right. John may not know what city we're playing in right now. Craver broke a tackle, got a good block downfield, and has a first down. And Mark Schlereth, leading the way, gave him a good downfield block to get another 7-8 yards.
You know, it amazes me sometimes. You get a safety up in position like Mike Zordich was, number 36. He's right up in position to take out the lead guard and stone this thing. Watch the left part of your screen. Number 36, he's right up there. See him on the ground? Matter of fact, he's already further back than Craver is. And he's got to stone that thing up. He's got to take people on.
Ed McCaffrey, number 87, into the Denver lineup. Play action by Millen, under pressure. Got away. And throw is nearly intercepted by Romanowski. Well, Millen did one very good thing on that play and then almost did one very bad thing.
Yeah, he tried to make a play after he already made one. You're not going to make 2 plays normally. Good patience by Fuller. Well, you're not going to fool. This is a wily vet you're trying to run a naked boot on. Now he's trying to hang the ball up to Anthony Miller, but Romanowski is looking back in the backfield.
And 3 Denver receivers were within 5 yards of each other. 2nd and 10. Davis. Hello. Greetings from Kurt Gouveia.
Bang. Kurt Gouveia right here. All he's going to do is go there, and that's as far as that whole thing's going to go. Watch him just read this. Slide, and boom.
Oh. Well, we talked about John Elway not knowing where he is. Terrell Davis may think he's back at Georgia.
Look at that shot. That's leverage. That's delivering a blow with leverage.
3rd and 9. Milone with a short set, then in trouble. McCaffrey can't hold it. Wouldn't have made any difference.
I love that call. Make a quarterback make a play. 3rd and 9, bring everybody. See if you can find a few fans in the stands if they want to rush. And make them throw the break-offs. That's all he could do.
Tom Rowan will come in to punt. It would have been a 54-yard field goal attempt had they chosen that avenue. And Carpenter is back to take the punt. He has only been back on one punt this year, made a fair catch. Rowan sky high. Eagles signal get away from it, and it takes the Philadelphia bounce out of bounds at the 23. The punt, a 14-yarder out of bounds. Govea and the defense step up. Now it's Rodney Peete's turn. Here in the cradle of Liberty, that is the Liberty Bell in downtown Philadelphia. Some of the great historic sites in the history of this nation. And they have the replica atop Veterans Stadium, and it's Veterans Weekend, by the way. Our thanks to all those valiant people. Pete with another short set over the middle. Williams, nice catch, covered by Braxton like a blanket, and somehow Pete got it in there.
You know what I'm seeing out of Rodney Peete? I'm seeing a guy playing with confidence. He's making throws exactly where you have to. You're throwing into traffic. You keep the ball down low where it's either an incompletion or your guy can come up with it. He's 15 for 20, only 175 yards, but just really controlling the clock. Look at the plays. 11, 12, 9, and winding up with TD.
Can't ask much more than that as an offensive coordinator or a head coach. They have been perfect. Waters, nowhere to go this time. Wrapped up around the ankles by middle linebacker Dave Wyman. Wyman has had 11 surgeries during his football career, 6 on his knees. And people thought when he first came out, this guy is an all-pro in the making. He's never stayed healthy.
Well, Michael, that's really, he has been one of the situations that you've seen with the Broncos all year. The first 6 weeks of the season, the Broncos had 6 knee surgeries on people that play.
Yes.
And it's tough to build a ball club that way.
Especially when, as you see, the measurement less than the length of a football short, especially when they brought in so many new players. And it takes time to get together, and then you get injuries and have to change that setup. It makes it extremely difficult. But the last month, they have really come on as a unit and played exceptionally well. Tonight, however, Philadelphia's had an answer for everything they've tried to do. Third and a foot. Every tight end on the roster in the game. Quarterback keeper by Pete. And where they're marking it, it looks like he has it easily. You talked about Pete looking comfortable and making the throws. Last week against Dallas, it looked like he rushed everything. Certainly Dallas' defense had something to do with it.
And he admitted that. He said he hurried himself a little bit last week. I think playing against the Cowboys last week was a good experience for them. They're going to get them back here at the Vet a little bit later on in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks. Be an interesting ball game.
Another first down for the Eagles in a rapidly moving first half, under 4.5 minutes to go. Play action by Pete. He's had excellent protection tonight. Williams with another catch into Denver territory. Atwater stood him straight up. But Pete has been on the money, and Williams and Barnett have made some great catches off perfect route run.
And I'll tell you, the guys that are doing an excellent job are the 2 tackles. Antone Davis and Barrett Brooks are giving him time. Done a good job of staying in the pocket. Here he is. They're running a 2-deep zone, and all the underneath guy has to do is beat it. And there's a big, soft cushion in the middle. And Calvin Williams makes the play.
And Calvin Williams is a kind of a receiver that quarterbacks love. He never takes a play off. Runs everything out. Pete has this one tipped, and it's intercepted. Intercepted by Elijah Alexander, and now they're saying no. That would have been the 3rd interception for Alexander this year.
Larry Niemers letting us know what's going on. Ball's in the air. There it is. Just up. It came out. Oops.
Double oops.
Good call by the official.
No wonder he didn't get up quite as fast as we thought he might.
That's right.
2nd and 10. Draw to Waters. Michael Dean Perry wasn't going anywhere. Simon Fletcher was also in there. Michael Dean is just one of those guys you can count on every play. He's going to try to make something happen.
He's an attacker. I mean, when you talk to him, he said this reminds him of when Bud Carson used to coach in Cleveland. They used to line up on the nose, cock to the right or left a little bit, and just really try and occupy people and get penetration. That's what he's doing again for Greg Robinson.
3rd and 10 for the Eagles. As Carpenter checks in, they go 4 wides. Pete looks left, comes back, throws right, incomplete. And credit Randy Hilliard was stopping that completion. He knocked it away at the last moment.
Freddie goes down. They run the inside guy out. Ball's a little bit high. Tries to make the play. Can't do anything about it. Randy Hilliard does a nice job. It's good defense. Win them all.
And on 4th and 10, Tom Hutton, who is #1 in the conference in punting, will kick it to Glenn Milburn. Milburn lets it go, and it will take a beautiful bounce to the Eagles down inside the 10. A punt of 34 and beautifully angled to the sideline. We'll be back to Philadelphia in a moment. Eagles, the update on John Elway. They think he can return in the second half, but they're going to hold him out right now with 2:44 to go in the half.
There's the shot. William Fuller comes in from the right, and as he's being pushed, he takes a hard shot. Looks like Mike Mamula from the right side just buried him right in the helmet.
And John's been out ever since. He certainly looks a little bit better than he did earlier. Mamula, who hasn't had that many sacks, leads the NFL in knockdowns. He's been very, very close. So Hugh Millen stays in at quarterback. Bobbles the snap. Davis runs into him. And Millen gets a yard out of what could have been a disaster for the Broncos.
You know, I really believe, Mike, that it is really the job of the backup quarterback, and Coach Shanahan doesn't really get his backups as much work because you got to keep your starters ready. But you have to pay attention to the center snap. It's tough for the starting center to adjust to you. As a backup quarterback, when you go in, your primary concern is get the ball. Then worry about everything after it.
And they're not going to have to get off another play before the 2-minute warning. So Hugh Millen will have a chance to come over and talk it over with Mike Shanahan and with John Elway. Back in a moment.
Welcome back to Philadelphia. Michael Dean Perry in our spotlight, and he's been a huge factor in the running game tonight against Philadelphia. Take a look at this against Terry Boschwing. Just drives him back into the backfield, gets hit on the tackle for less than 3 yards, and then again forces Charlie Garner wide into a tackle. And then when they run the draw at him in the single coverage, he stops Waters cold. He has just been awesome one-on-one against the running game. Mike?
He's fun to watch. But unfortunately for Denver right now, he doesn't play quarterback. Hugh Millen is in there for the injured John Elway. 2nd and 8. Eagles jump. Millen with a free play, and whistles blow, so Miller doesn't go after it. Mamula jumped early from his right defensive end spot.
Prior to the snap, false start, 88 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
But they hit Jerry Evans for drawing him off. The 3rd-year tight end out of Toledo.
The most important thing that Hugh Millen can do backed up like this is don't make a mistake. Don't do anything that gives him a cheap score.
Play action. Millen throws the other way, complete to Miller, and Miller dives out to the 17-yard line. Bobby Tommy Taylor on the tackle. Let's go to Mark Malone. Mark?
Yeah, Mike, I said Michael Dean Perry had been awesome. Take a look at these numbers. When they've rushed the ball at him, 6 times he's only given up 14 yards. 3.5 tackles, 2 of those solos, all for less than 3 yards. If Philadelphia is going to run the football, it's got to be outside or quick passes. Mike?
All right, Mark, 3rd and 5 here. Denver trying to get out of its own end of the field. Draw play, Davis. Eagles waiting for it. Thomas and company make the tackle.
You know what that is, Mike, is you set the formation to spread it out. But when you don't have a John Elway back there, the fear of the perimeter doesn't bother you. So you start to slant everybody in, figuring if they're going to run, you're there. If the quarterback's going back, you're there. So that's what just the presence of a John Elway can do for an offense.
Coming up at halftime, you'll see the fastest 3 minutes in television with Chris Berman and a look at the 49ers and the Cowboys. What a stunner that was. And the Winston Cup Championship. Who will walk away with all that bonus money? Think there's a party or two in San Francisco?
Well, I think there is, but also, boy, I mean, the fact that you stay with Elvis Grbac as your quarterback in San Francisco and Troy Aikman goes out, that shows you how valuable Troy Aikman is to the Dallas Cowboys. They're one player away from not having that great football team that they have.
Plenty of time left, 112 and a half. Ruin will punt to Carpenter. Nice high kick. There is a flag down on the play. Carpenter makes a fair catch to 39. A punt of 43 will check the penalty.
This is a major WWF takedown. Right in the middle of the punt formation.
And they'll make him do it again. Reggie Rivers talking to Richard Smith.
Jeff Robinson, the center, just absolutely takes
Here to the kick. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat, 4th down.
Just throws the middle rusher away. Watch the middle. Look at number 94. Watch this. Ready? He's rushing. No, he's not. I tell you don't see that in the WWF. That's unbelievable.
Not for real. So now 4th and 12 after the penalty. They'll have to kick again. And the Eagles with everybody on the line. They don't give it the big rush, and Ruin with another good kick. Carpenter disdains the fair catch and brings it back to the 45-yard line. A punt of 37, a return to 4. Tim Houck down on coverage. Gutsy play by Carpenter. So the Eagles with 54 seconds left will have a chance to add to their 21-10 lead. And they have only one timeout to work with.
Now what you're thinking, if you're Rodney Peete here, you're saying, all right, we only need 2 first downs to get in the field goal range. If I can get there quick enough, I can take a couple shots at the end zone.
And they are going with the win. Pete has time. Then he's finally hit from behind by Dan Williams, who got a hand on his throwing shoulder. And Gary Anderson trying to stay warm on the sideline.
Talk about a guy with knee surgeries. Dan Williams, number 90, has had his share. Comes all the way around the corner and just manages to knock the ball. Knock Rodney's right arm so the ball goes low.
Four-man rush on 2nd and 10. Good protection again over the middle and off the hands of Carpenter, who was wide open. And Pete threw it behind him.
Oh, and he knows it. Gosh, I know what that feels like. Oh, just as it leaves your hand, you're saying, oh, please. First thing that goes through your mind is make a great catch for me. Watch this. He's got Carpenter running wide open, and this ball just scoots out the backside. Oh, Rodney he's wishing. Oh, man. He knows it.
So now 3rd and 10 with 45 seconds to go in the half. He's made some bad throws, but he's made some brilliant throws tonight, too. Under pressure from Fletcher, and then bounced it right off the head of Dan Williams, it appeared.
That was going to be a screen. And give those defensive ends a lot of credit. They just kept driving the pocket back to him.
So the Eagles can't take advantage of outstanding field position. And they'll send on Tom Hutton. So for the first time tonight, a very good stand by Denver to prevent further damage.
Let it go!
High short kick. Milburn lets it go. And the Eagles down it inside the 1. A 44-yard kick. And now they're saying it's a touchback.
It's a great effort by Barry Wilburn, but he just misjudged the bounce. Barry Wilburn's going to get down there. Watch the ball. Watch it go. He thinks it's going to go right. Watch it go hard left on him. See how it takes off hard left? Now it's running. He gets there and just does hit it. Good call by the official. You'll see he just can't get enough of it. It's just going to catch the line right there on the belly.
The ball hits
And if it hits the
goal
line,
which is a touchback.
if
First
it
down.
hits the line, it's in the end zone. Bobby Smith doesn't believe it. He thought his team came up with or Danny Smith, he thought his team came up with a great play.
See, it just squirts off his finger. If he gets his hand on it, and the belly of it just goes across the line.
So Denver is going to be content to run out the first half clock with Elway on the bench. They'll go to the locker room down 11 and try to regroup. And Ray Rhodes has seen his offense do brilliant things here in the first half at Veterans Stadium. That's the end of the first half. Our score, the Philadelphia Eagles 21, the Denver Broncos 10. Now let's join Chris Berman for the accurate halftime report. The Denver Broncos will get the football as we start the second half. Milburn at the 9. It's excellent speed. Can't get outside, and there's a flag down. Players having to be separated. And we'll check the marker. And the Eagles, as the kicking team, were offside.
Well, there's one you never see called.
Offside on the kicking team, number 45. 5-yard penalty. Will re-kick.
That's Barry Wilburn, and there is John Elway. The report on him, the concussion in the first half. He will not return in the second half, so his night is done with 2 out of 3 for 54 yards and a touchdown.
He just had that look, Mike, all through the first half when he was sitting there. It's never come back for him.
You had a couple of those. What's it like?
You really, nothing is clear. I mean, you can talk, you can function, you can recognize people. When you try and recall plays, nothing makes sense. It's like you go red, right, something. I mean, it just all of a sudden you get portions of it. I mean, he's really not all there. You can see by the look in his eyes. I'm sure he's going to be fine at some point, but right now it's going to take a little while for everything to sit back and set itself again.
The Eagles have to kick again. Milburn all the way up to the 20 on this return. Shakes a tackle, gets a block. Milburn to midfield and more. Glenn Milburn still on his feet down to the Eagles' 30-yard line. There is a flag back at the 40. And this may come back after a beautiful 50-yard return.
You know, Mike, I often wonder, do you give the guy, and certainly Milburn did a great job of running, but that's just a lousy job of tackling. I mean, the Eagles have been horrendous on special teams. Danny Smith is going absolutely crazy trying to get a unit out there that plays together all the time.
holding.
They just don't make plays.
On the return team, number 59, during the return, 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down.
Cover teams have really hurt the Eagles this year, but that's a hold, 15 yards.
And that was Richard Smith on the other side for the Broncos. Number 59, hanging on. Hanging on. Took down Derek Weatherspoon.
To spot the ball back at the 36-yard line, 1st and 10. So it's Hugh Millen at quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Play action on 1st down. Has it tipped, still caught. And out to the 43-yard line goes Terrell Davis. William Fuller was the man who tipped it. First half stats, 257 total yards for the Eagles, and look at the time of possession.
Time of possession. Also, and look at the plays run. Double, 42-21, and that was the first reception by a running back. 3rd down conversions. The Eagles have been terrific. 80% inside the 20, coming away with 3 scores. Broncos zip.
Terrell Davis got a lead block and fights his way out for a 1st down out to the 47-yard line of the Broncos. Davis started his career at Long Beach State. They canceled their program with the death of George Allen. He ends up at Georgia by way of a phone call, then becomes a 6th-round draft choice, and well on his way as a Rookie of the Year candidate.
Absolutely. Follows the tradition at Georgia. Herschel Walker, Rodney Hampton, Garrison Hurst.
Play action again by Miller. Again, good time, and he misses Shannon Sharp, who was wide open. Sharp has been a little frustrated in this offense because he hasn't gotten the ball nearly as much. But he says as long as we're winning, that's no problem.
And he realizes his role changed. It's a free release off the line. He's out in the corner, and the ball just dies on him. I mean, this throw just never has the air underneath it. That is a cold quarterback coming in to try and make a throw. And the hot one's on the bench.
And will stay there. Here comes the blitz. Millen threw it in between Miller and Davis. It was a very indecisive throw by Matt Millen, even under pressure. There, Hugh Millen, excuse me.
4 of 9. And, you know, the thing about that is you can look at completions versus attempts and you say, well, you know, it was good defense. There has not been good defense. He's had people open. And Mike Shanahan is trying to find something that he can get a little confidence into his quarterback with. 3rd and 10s are not the way to do it.
Ed McCaffrey in as an extra wide receiver. Here comes the blitz again. Millen stands in there and throws complete, but it's short of the 1st down. The catch made by Anthony Miller. They'll have to punt it away. Good coverage by Mark McMillan.
And he's covered by the mighty Mike, Mark McMillan. This guy here, what a tough, big-hearted football player he is. He's 5'7", he's 150 pounds, and he started as corner in the National Football League. I mean, he does it for a reason. He's that tough and that smart.
Ruin averaging under 27 yards a kick so far, had the 1 of 14. With Kelvin Martin out, Carpenter is back to take it. A high boomer that will reach the end zone. So a punt of 45 and a net of only 25 for Tom Rowan. Back to Philadelphia after this.
ESPN Sunday Night NFL is brought to you by Cadillac and your Cadillac dealer, creating a higher standard. By Splitfire, the patented performance spark plug. It only costs more until you use it. And by Motel 6, for a clean, comfortable room at the lowest price of any national chain, stay at Motel 6.
Eagles leading the Broncos 21-10, 12:25 to go, 3rd quarter. If you just joined us, the bad news for Denver, John Elway is out with a concussion. And the city of brotherly love says we need thugs, not hugs.
Well, they're getting them tonight.
Waters and Saxon are the backs behind Pete. Pete to throw on first down and completes the short one to Williams. Let's go to Mark Malone.
Thanks, Mike. The Philadelphia Eagles have thoroughly frustrated the Denver Bronco interior line in the pass rush. Michael Dean Perry, our spotlight player, they've gone to running some games here and some twists. You'll see Williams coming inside and then Perry loop into the outside. But the ball's gone so quick they don't get to the quarterback. They've tried some blitzes. Perry coming down inside, forcing the blocks inside and running Atwater outside. But again, that hasn't worked either. They're going to have to try something different against the Eagles. Mike?
All right, Mark, and nothing has worked so far as the Eagles have been terrific in the offense. Ricky Waters with his 12th carry. Let's go back to Mark.
And here are the final numbers on Michael Dean Perry, Mike. He's been double-teamed 34 times out of 37 plays. He's made 3.5 tackles. 2 of those were solos, but he has no pressures, no hurries, and no sacks. So he hasn't been an impact in the passing game. We're going to switch our focus now in the spotlight to the rookie quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, Bobby Taylor, as the Broncos try to throw their way back into this football game. Mike?
And Mark, there's a kid with a tremendous future. They really like his ability out of Notre Dame. 3rd and 3. Pete to throw for it. Barnett in the flat. He's got the first down. Lionel Washington makes the tackle, but it's up at the 34.
Let me tell you something. This is something that the Eagles were not getting out of their wide receivers in the early part of the year. They were running out and running the patterns they were supposed to. Here, Freddie Barnett gets open. He uses his ability to get open. Watch the contact that is made. I think the first part of the season, he would have just been knocked down. He comes in, Washington stuffs him. But he keeps his feet, slides on out to an open area, picks up the first down.
Play action by Pete, then he flips it to Waters in the flat. Nice catch. And they may lose a couple. Excellent tackle as Crockett came up from the corner in a hurry. Waters has got those nice soft hands. Right now, if you're the Eagles offensive coordinator, everything has worked so far. Do you start working on the clock, maybe?
I don't think so, not at this point. I mean, 21-10, even though Elway's out, is not a comfortable lead. One bad play, bang, it's 21-17. Now you're in a dogfight again. I think what the Eagles are doing is perfect. It's the way they started the game. It's their game plan. They're staying with it.
2nd and 12. Here comes the blitz. They pick it up well, and Pete throws over the middle, complete to Barnett, and he just dives forward and has the first down. Gain of 15. Nice catch and nice awareness by Barnett to know exactly where he was.
And nice job by the offensive line of stonewalling Michael Dean Perry. Look at the guys in the middle. That's Harry Boatswain, number 69. That's Rollo McKenzie, just not giving Michael Dean a chance to go anywhere. You want to see something, this is called threading a needle. There's one right under Wyman's hands.
Back to the ground game with Waters. Little stutter step. Gets 5, 7, 8.
You know, they are really just running right at the Denver Bronco defense, Mike. It's not fancy, it's not tricky. It's just Ricky off tackle, and we're going to let McIntyre and Brooks and Davis and Boatswain on the other side go after you.
Well, with the play calling they've had all night, they've really kept them off balance.
Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, still looking for an answer on defense.
2nd and 1, Waters. First down and more. Nearly broke it, got down to the 35. A late flag comes in. And the Broncos applauding. Somebody signaled holding. And it is. So instead of a first down, they'll have 2nd and long. One of the few mistakes the Eagles have made tonight.
Holding. 89 offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat 2nd down.
It's on Calvin Williams.
He's trying. I just don't understand it. I mean, they lock up to one another, and he lets them go.
Wasn't a lot. Good protection again for Pete to Waters in the flat. Crockett again up from the corner in a hurry to make the first hit, and got some help as David Wyman came over.
Mike, I've been really impressed with the way Rodney Peete has protected the football tonight with his throws. That time they wanted to run that little hook, that little 8 or 9 yard hook inside the numbers. It wasn't there. He immediately goes outside to Ricky, knowing that he's got 3rd and 5, and will have 3 or 4 options on this play to pick up the first down.
Good numbers tonight. And on 3rd down, he has been special. And the Eagles have not had that luxury all year. 3rd and long here. Another blitz, and Pete hammered. Ray Crockett just came in like a freight train from the corner.
This is what happens when you go split ends to actually 2 wide receivers, which opens up an end. You get a wide side. He's going to come from here. He's running. Rodney's got to get the hot off. If he doesn't get the hot off, there he comes. Rodney's got to get it out. See, Rodney Peete doesn't even see him coming. That was the end result.
Milburn back for the punt, but can't come up on it. Takes a bad bounce for Denver. Down by Philadelphia. Kick him only 31 yards, but no return. 7:15 to go, 3rd quarter. Still the Eagles by 11.
That takes him down.
It's a Riddick bow shot. Hugh Millen, the quarterback, has hit 5 out of 10 for only 42 yards in relief of Elway. Starts at his own 25. Has to get something going. And has a completion for about 7 yards to Jerry Evans, only his 7th catch of the season for the number 2 tight end. And in this offense, Shannon Sharp is more like a tight end instead of an H-back, which he's always been before.
Right, in the true sense of the term, he is a tight end. And he understands that Coach Shanahan wants him to block and do things that real tight ends do.
This time Sharp in the slot to the right. No backs. No one set short. There's Shannon Sharp. He's got the first down. Romanowski makes the tackle.
See, I think anytime you can get Shannon Sharp matched up on a linebacker, you're going to win, because he will give you a place to get to the football. He has great awareness. This is him in the slot. He just bumps into Romanowski, does a little spin move, just like a little pick in basketball. I'm just going to go to you. I'm going to slide outside and just make the throw.
And if you ever need a model for a statue, that's the guy to look up. He is some kind of cut.
He really is. His brother's a little heavy, though.
A little dig here in the 3rd quarter. First down for the Broncos. Millen. Is it a catch? It is. At the 47-yard line. Bobby Taylor disagrees, but Pritchard went down and got it.
Hugh Millen starting to settle in a little bit now. Scanned the field that time. Looked to the right and then came back late to Pritchard. See, he looks downfield. Now he comes back to the left. Makes a good throw. He's always been able to throw the ball well. He's a big guy. Just has never had a chance to settle in at the quarterback position and keep a job.
Gain 9 on that play, so it's 2nd and a yard. Terrell Davis the setback. Boy, does he hit the hole in a hurry into Philadelphia territory at the 47. Mark Woodard made the tackle. If the hole is there, he is through it in a heartbeat.
You know, it's interesting, too, Mike. We talked about in the open Mike Shanahan using a lot of different styles of offense. Hurry up, shotgun, and 2 tight ends. Tonight, he's basically gone 3 wide receivers and kept his quarterback under center. We have not seen the shotgun tonight out of the Denver Broncos.
Davis again, more running room. Terrell Davis with another first down to the Eagle 35-yard line. Michael Zordich on the stop. And they have opened a couple of big holes in the middle. 10 carries, 72 yards for Terrell Davis. Interesting what he told us last night. He said, I feel like I'm still in training camp.
And he is running hard, too. Brian Habib, number 75, the right guard, does a good job on Andy Harmon, who's having a sensational year. Got 8.5 sacks, only had 9 last year. That time, Habib won the war.
The Denver offense has come alive, and it couldn't be at a better time for the Broncos. Davis again. He dives for a couple. Down to to the 33. Kevin Johnson in on the tackle. Ray Rhodes and Mike Shanahan, both coordinators for the 49ers last year, both getting head coaching opportunities, the second for Shanahan. And they've both done very well with their new teams. Here comes the blitz, and Malone didn't have a chance. Thomas, who is just having a huge season.
That William Thomas is unbelievable. You talk about somebody cut like a statue, Mike. He's 6'2", 223 out of A&M. A fourth-round draft pick in 91. He's just going to shoot the gap. He's going, here he is. He's going to hit the hole, and Millen's going to be right there, and he's down. He just takes it. I mean, Davis had no chance to get back and help out. See, this is where I think, you know, a consideration by the Broncos to go to the shotgun on second and third down would help Millen a little bit. I don't think you can abandon it just because Elway isn't there.
The timing of that blitz couldn't have been any better. Play clock is down to 4. Millen in trouble. Got away from 1. Throws and tipped away. And they had blown the play dead. I don't know if they got the play off before the play clock ran.
Prior to the snap, delayed on the offensive team. 5-yard penalty, third down.
You know what I'm looking for, Mike, here? I am not looking for down. I'd like to get into a situation where I get to the 30-yard line, maybe the 30, maybe the 28. Give me a 4th and 2 or a 4th and 3 where Shanahan can make a decision to either try a long field goal or go for it on 4th.
They trail by 11. Another blitz. They pick it up. Millen just sharp, juggling catch. Brought down at the 31-yard line. Nice tackle by Barry Wilbur. From here, it would be a 48-yard field goal, well within Elam's range, as long as 53 this year. So they did exactly what you said they ought to, Joe. They gave at least Elam a shot at 3.
I think it's a good call. You know, and really, the Eagles helped them out by bringing the blitz on. They put it in 101. Shannon just couldn't quite get enough yardage.
And Elam has been terrific from long range. And continues to be terrific. That baby would have been good from 55. Jason Elam makes it an 8-point ball game. Mike Shanahan and Ray Rhodes, and this is the first time in NFL history that coordinators off of a Super Bowl champion have met the next year as head coaches. Both have their clubs at 5 and 4, and the way parity has hit in the NFL, 5 and 4 is a good record this year, certainly in the playoff hunt. Elam to kick to Charlie Garner from the 5. Charlie Garner bolts his way out to the 30. We've got a timeout. 1:44 to go, third quarter. Back after this. Okay. (21-13) the lead for the Philadelphia Eagles. Our Visa storyline from Veterans Stadium. Rodney Peete with a good night, hitting 2/3 of his passes. The first 3 drives the Eagles had all went for scores. The offense has been shut down of late. And passing yards, the Eagles dominating with 216, and 117 of that 216 have come after the catch.
And one other punctuation on this storyline is the Denver Broncos have been without John Elway for a lot of this ball game.
And he will not return with a concussion. Garner is the setback behind Peete. And Charlie Garner will get the carry. Cuts it inside. Turned a loss into a gain of maybe 1 as Lionel Washington took him out of bounds. The familiar sight of Randall Cunningham, but rather unfamiliar on the sideline. Replaced after the 4th game as the starter for the Philadelphia Eagles in the last year of his contract.
Yeah, but you won't see him on a sideline without a helmet on next year. I believe he'll be playing. I had a chance to visit with him yesterday. He said something very interesting. He said he'd be willing to back up Steve Young and Troy Aikman. And I said, really? He said, you know, if I want to be a starter, I could play in Arizona for Buddy Ryan.
Keep the time deep over the middle, which has been wide open all night long, and Williams makes another grab. There's a penalty marker down.
They're going to tack on a few more.
Personal foul, roughing the passer with a blow to the head. 15 yards to be tacked on to the end of the completion. First down.
First, we'll take a look at the route. Calvin does a nice job. Just works into the soft belly of the zone. Right in the middle. And there's the roughing. Boom. Oh, yeah. You know, the way they call things, I can't believe guys do that. I just don't understand. They are looking for that so bad, and you just accommodate the officials by doing it in their face.
Well, Mike Malone is just unloaded. Ricky Waters is back in as the running back behind Saxon. Tripped up by Atwater, and when Atwater sees Waters, he comes right to the line of scrimmage. More of a linebacker than a safety.
You know, and that's the big difference in the way Steve Atwater is playing this year, Mike. Last year, he was asked to cover a lot. This year, he's asked to be a part of the tackling and the force for the defense. And he's being used, I think, more effectively this year.
2nd and 9, number 1 on the club in tackles. Here comes the blitz by Wyman. They unload in a hurry to Carpenter, and Carpenter wrapped up by Lionel Washington after gaining only a couple.
This is a very interesting chess game that both coordinators are playing. I think Greg Robinson in Denver and Emmett Thomas with the Eagles, and the coordinators Gruden and Mike Shanahan on the other side, you know, they're really guessing with one another. That's Emmett Thomas on the left, John Gruden on the right, the offensive coordinator.
John Gruden, one of the youngest coordinators you will ever see at age 32. That is the end of the quarter. The Eagles continue to lead at home, 21-13. Rodney Peete and the Eagles with a 21-13 lead as we start the 4th quarter.
Rodney has done a nice job of spreading the football around. He's moved it to a lot of different places. Here's his pass challenge. Look at him wing the ball right there from the line of scrimmage. Working the intermediate area, but in particular, something the Eagles haven't done is they've worked right down the middle of the field. And Greg Robinson has said great defenses must control the middle. They have
pressure on Peete. This one right off of Barnett's hands, couldn't hold it. So the 3rd and 8 fails. And they'll send on Gary Anderson.
I don't think he would have had the first down, but he would have given Gary Anderson about 5 or 6 more yards to have a shot at making this. See, I don't agree with this, Mike. This is a 52-yard field goal. I think you could punt the Broncos back in with Hugh Millen as their quarterback and play the field position game.
Anderson's longest this year, 43. And this one doesn't have a chance.
You know, I mean...
So the Broncos will have good field position when we come back to Philadelphia.
True Value presents the NFL Man of the Year Award.
Denver's Simon Fletcher is a man dedicated to making a difference in the lives of Colorado's youth. Fletcher has donated countless hours to the Denver public school system, counseling at-risk students on the value of education and the peril of drugs. Simon Fletcher has done an awful lot of good for the Denver Broncos and for a lot of kids. And our hat off to Simon Fletcher, who says if he makes the Pro Bowl, he will definitely be back next year. He had said earlier, if he feels good, he'll be back next year. Had talked an awful lot about retiring. Best starting position for Denver tonight. It's on 42. Davis lost his footing, still stumbles ahead, gets 2, maybe 3.
You know, we
Let's go back to the field goal.
Talked about Gary Anderson. Excuse me, Michael. Talked about Gary Anderson. You know, the field goal's a 52-yarder, but Shane Dronette right in the middle, number 99, gets a good push, manages to swim inside, and look at the effort. Watch his left thumb. Just does manage to deflect the ball. And if you're kicking a 52-yard field goal, you've got to kick it low to try and get the distance on it. So everything worked in favor of the Broncos that time.
Well, what a job he did last year with blocking 4. Comes another blitz. Millen unloads and incomplete. Had Sharp open with Zordich in coverage. Mark Woodard on the blitz.
You know what I've noticed about Matt Millen is that he is a Hugh Millen.
I did that. I started.
Okay,
that.
I know about Millen. You know what I noticed about him is when a guy is open, he doesn't throw the ball with the same intensity as if a guy is covered. And he's always throwing the ball short. It's dying on him because he's leaning backwards. He's got to make every throw the same.
And there's no comeback to count on from John Elway tonight. Millen had hit his last 5. 3rd and 8. Another blitz. Hangs in there, completes. And they've got a first down. Great job by Anthony Miller, who knew where the sticks were and dove to get that extra yard.
Hugh Millen in the shotgun. And I think this is a good move by Mike Shanahan. Put him away from the pressure a little bit on 3rd down. Now step into the throw. See, he nonchalants the ball out there. He's got to put a little more intensity into it. Not necessarily velocity, but intensity.
Aaron Craver is in the lineup with Davis in the backfield. Another blitz. Zordich. Ball comes loose. Picked up by Mamula. And the rookie from Boston College with the recovery. And a return of 26. Well, they just kept bringing Zordich till it worked.
I guarantee you, if John Elway was there, Emmett Thomas would not be this free to come after him. He just figures with Millen, he's not as mobile. I'm going after him. Number 36 comes from the bottom. I mean, there's nobody there to block him. Millen's trying to get out of the way. He loses his footing a little bit, and the ball just squirts out. It is a cold night here in Philadelphia, and getting colder for the Denver Broncos.
Spot the ball at the 16-yard line. Philadelphia up by 8 and trying to solidify that lead. Waters hit in the backfield. Nice play by Dan Williams. The second big play he's had. And Williams, who, as Joe pointed out earlier, has had that history of knee injuries. First-round draft choice in '93 out of Toledo, and appears to be injured again. Boy, you hate to see it. Kid with such great potential.
Number 90, lower part of your screen. He just comes around the corner. I mean, he just is not blocked. Ed West, number 83, the tight end on that side, just turns him completely loose. And Ricky Waters has nowhere to go.
Watch that knee just slam into the turf. And it's a hard surface here in Philadelphia. Man, they're going to have to help Williams off the field. We'll get a report on Dan Williams just as soon as we can. Missed 4 games this year with a knee injury, and since he was drafted has had 6 knee operations.
1.5 sacks in his career coming into this year. He has 2 this year, so he was playing better.
And Harold Hasselbeck will take over at that defensive end spot. That's number 96, Hasselbeck. 2nd and 12. Pete to throw. Short. He is drilled as he got to the 7-yard line. Took a blast from Tim Houck.
Well, Freddie Barnett and Calvin Williams are just taking punishment in this new offense. They release underneath, and the safeties are having shots at them. Does a good job, releases under the linebacker. Rodney does a nice job of throwing the ball in there, and then boom. I mean, Tim Houck just explodes. Number 37.
Boy, and that was awfully close to leading with a helmet, too. First down, Eagles. 1st and goal from the 6.
Ricky Waters told me Friday when I sat and visited with him, he said, there's 2 things we have to do in this game, and we can win it. We have to control the time of possession, and when we get in the red zone, we must score. That's what they've done so far through 3 quarters tonight.
12.5 minutes to go in the game. Play action. Pete takes out of the pocket, dives to the 1. He's already run for 1 touchdown. Michael Dean Perry saved that one.
He is making Ray Rhodes and John Gruden so happy now because he really wasn't known as an improviser like a Randall Cunningham was. But now Rodney's doing anything it takes to make plays. Sees everybody covered, just tucks it down and uses his athletic ability.
2nd and goal from the 1. Broncos are really beefing about the call, too.
I'm telling you, that's all Ricky Waters right there. That is all just great little cuts and jives and jukes to get in the end zone. Look at it. Look at these moves he makes. He starts outside. He's on a pile. He's on a pile. He's on a pile. He just finds a way. Keeps the feet driving, stays on top of the pile, and gets in the end zone.
To make it a 15-point game. And it's 28-13 Eagles. Ricky Waters with his 3rd rushing touchdown of the season.
Would pretty much be intact. Danny Smith, to his defense, Kevin Turner's been his prime special teamer, and he hasn't had him since the injury a while back, so he's just trying to find a combination of guys to make plays.
Illegal block in the back during the run back on number 92. Be a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, 1st down.
Dave Wyman, the middle linebacker.
Look at those numbers. They're 30th in the NFL in punt coverage and 30th in the NFL in kickoff coverage. If that doesn't drive a special teams coach nuts, nothing will.
But very often, like other coaching disciplines, it's a function of the players he has on that unit.
Yeah, you just can't tell 11 guys to run down the field. It is a coordinated unit, and when you're changing people, it's hard to be effective.
So Millen, instead of good field position, has to start inside at 20 again. Davis, Bobby Taylor right there with him. And Davis went out of bounds. Let's check in with Mark Malone. Mark?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Rookie cornerback for the Eagles, Bobby Taylor, in our spotlight now. And I'm surprised that the Broncos haven't worked him over a little bit more. This was the first drive. You remember Anthony Miller in the outside technique. Taylor does not have a chance in a foot race with Miller. He's more of a physical player with great range and great hands. Now, late in the 3rd quarter, they tried to work Miller man on man. Look at the technique inside out. But they don't get the football to him because, like anything else, a blitz and pressure on the quarterback is the corner's best friend. Mike?
Absolutely, Mark, and they've done a great job with pressure on Millen and Elway before him. Millen with time here throws, but Pritchard has to reach behind him to make the catch. He can't get anything after it. Back to Mark.
Mike, I said I was surprised they hadn't gone after him enough, and check out these numbers. They've thrown at him 4 times, completed 4 balls for 72 yards and a touchdown. And I'll tell you what, the blitz is hurting the Broncos. Right now, I would go ahead and keep a tight end in, pick up the blitz, and try to work Bobby Taylor, because even in a zone, he's got a lot of man tendencies. Mike?
I think it's an easier shot going to him than it is Mark McMillan, even at 5'7". The little guy is a terror as a cover man. 3rd and 9. 4-man rush this time. And Millen throws nearly picked off. Anthony Miller didn't go for it. He thought it was for somebody else. It was that far away from him. And nearly picked off by Taylor and Barry Wilburn.
Miller's supposed to just come down underneath. He drives up the field, Now he just looks inside. And, you know, I don't know what Anthony Miller was thinking. I mean, the ball was hanging in the hole, and you're supposed to go to the hole to get it.
Ruin to kick from about his own 10. Short! Carpenter signals for the fair catch and then lets it go. That's a big Denver bounce.
Rob Carpenter had the right idea. He never executed it, though.
A 50-yard punt with the roll. And Philadelphia will have the ball when we come back. Not gotten a lot out of it. They've got 28 points out.
And they've done it in the West Coast offense tradition of short passing.
Now let's see if they go to the ground with the clock for Major Allow. Charlie Garner to the 45-yard line. ESPN's college football begins next Saturday at 12:30 with Indiana and Ohio State. At 5:30, arch rivals Alabama and Auburn. Followed at 8:30 p.m. by Notre Dame and Air Force. And remember, it all starts with College Game Day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. 28-13 Philadelphia. Charlie Garner now 5 carries, 29 yards. The two-headed tailback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Garner again. Wrapped up Dronette, had him at the line of scrimmage. Original Ray Crockett made the stop.
You know, Mike, this is a Rodney Peete that Ray Rhodes has been waiting to see. And I said it earlier, but in Rodney's defense, Randall Cunningham they were trying to get him ready in the preseason. Then in the first part of the year, Randall played. Now, Rodney is really getting comfortable, sets really nice in the pocket, does a good job of getting the ball to Freddie Barnett, who has to become a big part of this offense if it's going to be as effective as it's been this evening.
Barnett, 7 catches over the 100-yard mark tonight. Back to the ground. Lost his own balance, got up. Gets another 5 yards after he fell down. Now that's pretty quick. You fall down and still get up and get 5 more.
Yeah, but I want to look at his feet. I want to show you something. You see the way he's got his feet taped? You see how on the edges on the AstroTurf it is? He has no ability to go on the corners of his shoes. See the tape underneath? He makes a nice cut here, but if he really tries to cut it back up, as long as he's on his toes, he's fine. But as soon as he gets on the full part of his foot, he's going to slip out. He's got to cut that all off so he can utilize the total bottom of his feet.
Fresh set of downs for the Eagles. Garner this time absolutely nowhere to go, straight up the middle. Michael Dean Perry with the tackle.
Right there. See his foot right there? See how it's got the tape on the side? There's no traction. You really take away almost 2/3 of the bottom of the shoe that you want to use for traction when it's hard to cut. And when you get on the edge, you're just going to keep on slipping, and he'll keep on doing that, especially as the weather gets colder. Watch this. Look at him slide. See how he tries to cut? See, there's nothing on the outside to stop him from doing that. You know, he really's tackling himself just by his tape job.
Beat to throw on 2nd and 10, and this one too short for Ed West, trying to make his first catch of the year. Dave Wyman on the coverage. Stops the clock with 6:17 to go. And the Denver Broncos, whose success away from home has been, or lack of it, has been charted throughout the years.
And points. They just don't score well on the road for some reason. I asked John Elway about it. John had no explanation. He said we should play well. We're the same team. We come in on a business trip.
He said that's what Mike Shanahan's trying to emphasize. The fact you're not here to see relatives or see friends. You're here on a business trip. Well, Elway's business was done early. Driving through people down to the 22-yard line. He runs hard at 187.
He really, really does. He's got a lot of power. But, boy, what a decision Ray Rhodes has to make now. 4th down and short yardage. You know, I mean, do you make the momentum call with your gut? Look at the job the offensive line does, though. McIntyre, Barrett Brooks. Boy, there is a hole there. What a super job that offensive line has done.
If they would kick the field goal from here, they would be up by 18 points, which would be 3 scores and essentially ice it.
I think this is a heart call, not a head call. I think you're making this one with your heart. Mike Shanahan, you know, is happy that he's trying it.
We've got a timeout. 5.5 minutes to go in Philly. With the benefit of a timeout, Ray Rhodes has changed his mind and will go for the field goal.
He's allowed his head to overrule his heart and the fans that are screaming and yelling here for go for it. I think this is a good decision.
Those fans don't have contracts. This will be a 39-yard kick. Anderson's only other try was short of 32. And one of the most accurate kickers in the history of this game knocks it through to make what may be an insurmountable 18-point lead. (31-13) Eagles, much to the delight of owner Jeffrey Lurie, sitting in his box watching his team lead by 18 with 5:26 to go in the game. This would make the Eagles 6-4 this year.
Jeff Lurie has said that he does not want to move this team out of Philadelphia. Like to have a new stadium because this one here is actually a baseball stadium. He'd love to have one just for football, but made a commitment to keep the team here. Wants the fans of the Eagles to know that.
Can't have too many more teams move. I'm going to get real caught up on the nicknames. It took me forever to get the Raiders back in Oakland. Glenn Milbert from the 2. Another gaping hole in the middle of the coverage team up to the 38-yard line. The best pregame show in the NFL begins every Sunday at 11:45 a.m. sharp with Chris Berman and the gang on NFL Game Day. Then at 7, it's all the highlights of all the games on prime time. And at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's Sunday Night NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs against the Houston Oilers. And with the Chiefs and the Raiders in that division, this was a game Denver really needed. A loss, they will drop to 5-5. The Eagles would go to 6-4. Terrell Davis across the 40 out to about the 44-yard line.
You know, I like what Mike Shanahan does, though. He doesn't necessarily cast caution to the wind and put Millen in a place where he won't be protected.
4-man rush. Sharp just shy of a first down, and now the mark may give it to them.
Millen doing a nice job getting his team on the line. Denver effectively in a hurry-up offense at this point.
But the Eagles will give up those 5-yard passes as long as they want to throw them. Millen with a short set again. Sharp makes the catch down to the 45-yard line of the Philadelphia Eagles. William Thomas makes another tackle. There's John Elway, knocked out of the game in the first half with a mild concussion.
I don't understand. When he came out at halftime, they said he would not play. You know, he has the concussion. Keeping him out in this cold, I don't know what purpose it serves.
Millen again to Sharp. Another 5-yard gain and another first down, but the clock continues to spin away under 4 minutes.
John Elway's clock stopped about 8:30 tonight.
Yes, it did. And those concussions are frightening things. Taken much more seriously these days. Millen tries to shovel pass to Davis. It's incomplete. I mean, 20 years ago, guys played the last couple of years of their careers. They'd get a concussion a game, and they let them play.
Trust me, I know, Michael. 20 years ago, you're right.
Is that the reason?
Yeah. Every now and then, it goes away. I went a whole quarter and a half of not knowing what was going on, and then couldn't remember it the next day. I mean, had no idea. I probably have about 4 or 5 hours of my life that are somewhere lost on a football field.
That's got to be a little scary. Try to go to the ground game, and Davis inside the 40 for maybe a yard.
I think the one thing that the Broncos realize is that this game here is important to them, yes, but it is a non-conference game, non-divisional game, and they're still in good shape in the division. They've got some games coming up over the next 4 or 5 weeks that, on paper, they look like they should do fairly well.
And make no mistake about it, the Denver Broncos are a far improved team over what they were a year ago. Of course, the Eagles, after losing to Dallas a week ago, could cut the Cowboys' lead down to 2 games in the NFC East. And with Troy Aikman's status being questionable, who knows? This is the standings right now. The Eagles would go to 6-4 with a win tonight. The only 2 teams in the NFC East over 500. What a change that is from a few years ago.
And the Dallas Cowboys get the Oakland Raiders next week, and I believe the Kansas City Chiefs after that, so their schedule does not get any easier.
And all at once, we do not have any juggernauts in the NFL. And Millen goes down. Sacked by Kevin Johnson, his 3rd of the season. The young man out of Texas Southern that they picked off the waiver wire from the Raiders.
You know, the Eagles' front line is somewhat interesting. You got Daniel Stubbs, who didn't play last year. Kevin Johnson was working in a liquor store. And you've got Ronnie Dixon, number 90, who was driving a truck.
A cement truck.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got guys who last year really weren't even in football playing up front.
And Red Hall is still out after having blood clots in his lungs in the preseason. His 4th in the 25-hour cab ride. Millen for Carpenter, incomplete, nearly intercepted. But the Eagles will take over on downs with 2:59 left in the game. Nearly picked by Jerome Henderson. Eagles take over on downs. Ray Rhodes and Mike Shanahan, certainly a great deal of mutual respect. They used to talk to each other all the time about this team is going to do something. How would you react to that as a defensive coordinator? Because I'm going to try to attack it with my offense. And they would share secrets. And I know you asked both of them this week, is this an advantage or a disadvantage that you know each other so well?
And they both said, you know, you really don't want to think about it. If you try and get into the other guy's head, it takes you out of your game plan. So they try and forget about the discussions they had.
Waters giving ground and then goes down after a loss of about 4 back at midfield.
And that's smart. Just keep the clock running. That's why Ricky did that. They'll be able to get this thing all the way down to the 2-minute warning in 2 more plays.
But he is not a happy running back at this point. Backs like their stats, especially a Ricky Waters. He wants to see those positive yards.
Yeah, but, you know, he'll take this victory tonight over any statistics. I think he's done a terrific job this evening running with the ball after he caught it, doing a good job of blocking, getting in the end zone when he had to, pretty much on his own.
Came into the game 4th in the NFL in rushing, so he has certainly done his job. The Eagles go with Derek Witherspoon at the running back spot. And this will bring us down to the 2-minute warning as the Eagles have wrapped it up here at home. They lead the Denver Broncos 31-13. With 2 minutes to go, the Philadelphia Eagles on the way to their 6th win of the year. Coming up after our broadcast Sports Center, Dan Patrick, Keith Olbermann. They'll bring you up today on everything, including the stunner in Big D, the 49ers against the Cowboys. All that bonus money on the line in NASCAR. And our conversation that Joe Theismann had with our Eagles backup quarterback Randall Cunningham. All that and more on Sports Center, including some of those great promos. His job is to hang on to the football. Let's go to Mark Malone. Mark?
Thanks, Mike. Of course, Bobby Taylor now in our spotlight. He has a pretty good night after being vandalized for the first touchdown. I don't think Hugh Millen really knew how to get after Bobby Taylor. Here on the blitz, Ed McCaffrey will work the hook against him in the blitz. He's wide open. They don't get him the football. And John Elway, however, stayed in this football game. There's no doubt he would have. As he got hit, knocked out of the game, take a look at who he was going to. Right there, Mike Pritchard with Bobby Taylor trailing by 2 yards. Elway told us in the meeting he respected both corners, but he thought he'd have to work the rookie first. And if he'd have stayed in this football game, I think Bobby Taylor, although he'll be a fine corner, would have had a much more difficult night. Mike?
And Mark, I thought the rookie, on the whole, has acquitted himself rather well this year. John Elway looking on. Taylor out of Notre Dame. Big corner.
6'3". Not, you know, Ray Rhodes, if there's one thing about Bobby Taylor he'd like to see is a little bit more intensity in practice. But boy, when it comes to games, he knows how to take it up a notch.
Tom Hutton will have to punt it away. It does his job, just doesn't get it blocked. There is a flag down, and Hutton was hit as they came after him. And it looked like Harold Hasselback was the guilty party. When you don't think punters fear this kind of situation too. They know everybody is coming, and they are so exposed. If it's not a 15-yard variety, it will still be 4th down, although that's academic at this point.
Of course, you have obviously running into the kicker, which is a 5-yard penalty, and roughing the kicker, which is 15. So now the Eagles can choose to decline it or take the penalty and kick it again.
Running into the kicker. The penalty is refused. 1st and 10 for Denver on the 20-yard line.
Ray Rhodes not wanting to risk his kicker to any more possible injury. He sets his foot and he just gets blocked.
Hasselback rolled right into the leg that was planted, and it looked like he may have had a lot of contact before he hit him. So Mike Shanahan, it'll be a long play ride back to Denver as his club has been beaten 31-13.
And I think that's the big, you use the right word, Mike. They were beaten. I mean, they were physically beaten in this football team, and Mike Shanahan does not like to see that. It's one thing to play hard and lose. Coaches never like to, but it's another thing to get physically beaten. And that's what the Eagles did to him.
Milone out of the shotgun and throws to Milburn. Talk about team players. Glenn Milburn has been just that. Counted on to be a big part of the offense this year. He was replaced by Terrell Davis, and says they haven't seen any reason to take him out, and I don't blame them. He has played that well, and it's very rare to hear a player, especially with the talent of a Glenn Milburn, say something like that.
You know, Glenn Milburn last year had 77 catches in this offense. So far this year, he has 7. That was his 8th.
Underneath to Rivers. Gets it up to about the 35. Clock continues to run. And I think you're right. Mike Shanahan saying discretion is the better part of valor right now. There's no sense to get Hugh Millen knocked out of this game, too. And he's got Terrell Davis on the sideline. Smart coaching decision. Milburn. Nice job to get some more yardage out of it. Forced out of bounds to the 41-yard line.
You know, on the Eagles side, Mike, Ray Rhodes talked about his football team being really down and embarrassed after the job that they did against the Oakland Raiders. Actually, the Raiders did on them. And he wanted his team to play hard and play well. That they felt the same way after the Cowboy game last week. They felt like they laid an egg, didn't play hard. He's got to be very proud of what he's seen this evening.
Well, John Gruden came out with an excellent game plan. Really kept the Denver defense off balance. Here's Milburn with a gaping hole. Glenn Milburn inside the 40 to the 35, and he is drilled. Mike Chalensky chasing the play from behind. Gain of 25 for Milburn.
From behind, you got those big guys chasing you. Sometimes you got to turn around and look, and when you do, the train's right there.
Pretty good job by Chalensky at 285 to chase that play. Of course, you're trying to make an impression anytime you get on the field. Chalensky wants more playing time. Major knee surgery a year ago, and has done a great job in rehab.
You know, people are probably saying, why are the Broncos using their timeouts? Why are they doing this? Why don't they just fold their 10 and go home? One of the tiebreakers, if it does boil down to that, is total points scored. So you just want to keep on putting as many points on the board as you can. And secondly, if Mike Shanahan was to sort of back his ball club off, chances are somebody might get hurt. You want to let them play a full 60 minutes hard from a safety standpoint and hopefully try and get some points.
Now, Hugh Millen has some pretty good numbers, 18 out of 27 for 124 yards, but his longest gain is only 12. Done a really good job of containing him since he replaced John Elway. And in his defense, he hasn't had a lot of time most of the time to throw it either. Milburn in the flat. Stops the clock with 47 seconds to go.
I thought Emmett Thomas did a terrific job, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles tonight, changing up his game plan a little bit. When the personnel changed on Denver's side, he decided to make his team a little bit more aggressive and really put Hugh Millen back on his heels.
Guy who's been a great assistant coach for a long time. And could he play as the defensive back? Millen underneath to Milburn, and he is wrapped up in a hurry by Mark Woodard, who's been in on 4 or 5 tackles tonight.
Next week, Michael, we get to see statistically and record-wise, the best team in football.
The Kansas City Chiefs. Milburn with a stutter step, room to run. Thomas with a nice arm tackle at 25. Hasn't Bono done a wonderful job out there? Back to tonight's game. The Eagles have to be so excited about what they've shown tonight.
They have. I think Ray Rhodes, his ball club came out and played hard. It played tough. Of course, the Broncos without John Elway are just an entirely different football team. I think the Eagles are posturing themselves to get into the playoffs. And I think the Broncos realize that the next 4 weeks are going to be what they really have to point towards.
Our final score, the Philadelphia Eagles 31, the Denver Broncos 13. Coming up next, Sports Center, Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann. The top stories they'll be following, the 49ers and the Cowboys, the year-ender, NASCAR, and a conversation with Randall Cunningham. For Joe Theismann, Mark Malone, and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching, everybody, and good night from Philadelphia. Sports Center is next, right after this.